Have you ever been in a situation where you find the noise around you just too much? Maybe you're in a constant battle with your kids, always asking them to turn down the stereo or TV. Well, on Riverland today this morning, we're going to find out if there's an actual reason why we tend not to like loud music and noises as we get older. Associate Professor Robert Cowan, Chief Executive Officer of the Hearing Cooperative Research Centre, joins us this morning. Now, Robert, is there an actual reason why we don't like loud music and loud noises as we get older?
Well, there's actually a physiological reason. As we age and we start to lose our hearing, it isn't just what we would call a peripheral problem. It isn't just a problem in the sense organ itself, the cochlea, with some loss of hair, what are called hair cells. We also know that when we lose hair cells, we start to have fewer connections between the nerves and the auditory system. Now, our basic auditory system, our neural pathways, allow us to do things like, ignore the noise for example, at a cocktail party or in a lot of people and concentrate on the person that's speaking to us. But as we start to lose some of those synapses, we start to lose the ability to process that sound and to take away the background noise. It gets harder for us to hear in background noise, so noise has more of an effect.
Is part of it as well, I guess, when we don't have control over the noise around us? So, for example, if someone's playing some loud music that we don't like, or if someone next door, I guess, is revving the motorbike that they're fixing or whatever, that I guess we're intolerant to noises that we don't want to be hearing?
Well, being frank, it's a noisier world than it ever has been. A recent study by the World Health Organization last year identified that there's really two levels of problems here. One is the level of noise that can actually cause pathophysiological damage to the auditory system, and that's really anything over 85 decibels for a sufficiently long period of time. That's one level of noise, but it also recognized that the sort of irritating lower level kind of noise that you're talking about, which isn't quite loud enough to cause damage to the system, also has health-related problems. It increases our irritability, it increases distress, it increases tension. And we know that all of those factors contribute to downstream health problems, and this has been now recognized officially by the World Health Organization as a problem called environmental noise damage.
And I guess that sort of comes into play with things like when people are living near wind farms that do produce a lot of noise.
Well, wind farms are a bit different because it's very low-level, low-frequency sound. There have been some recent studies that have indicated that this might be an issue for people who are living in very, very close proximity to wind farms. But again, there's just been some initial studies on this, and I certainly wouldn't want you to be suggesting alarm to people, that this is a major problem. I think it's good that there are, that there has been an awareness of this and legislation passed in terms of how close wind turbines can be located to residential areas. Certainly, but this is a different kind of sound. It's low-level, low-frequency sound.
Do you think that maybe in the course of human evolution we sort of missed out? Because, I mean, if we want to block out too much light or something like that, we can close our eyelids. But I guess we weren't really born with earlids, were we?
No, we weren't, and in fact, sound is so incredibly important to safety. If you're in Melbourne, or if you're in many metropolitan cities, there are now safety warnings for people getting off public transport who are using earphones, to make them aware to have a look around, because they're not going to be aware of sounds, and there have been increasing incidences of pedestrian accidents from people not being aware of the normal sounds that might have protected them or prevented them being struck by cyclists or by cars or even by trams.
But I guess overall, as we do get older, I mean, I was in a vehicle the other day and the music was up quite loud and I had trouble hearing the conversation and I was getting irritable. It is something that I guess relates to the changes in our ears as we do get older and as those are degenerating, isn't it?
That's correct. As we get older, just as we get older, we lose vision, and that's because of a change to the muscles that control the shape of the eyeball. As we age and we acquire what's called a sensory neural hearing loss, or a problem with the hair cells, we start to lose the ability to hear the very soft, high-frequency sounds. Some of the consonant sounds, like if you think about the th at the sound of at the start of then or thin, they're very, very soft sounds. Not very loud at all, and you don't need much of a hearing loss before you start to lose those consonant sounds. Now, in European languages, the vowel sounds, the oo, ah, e's, carry the time intensity information of sound. They give you the rhythm, they give you the timing, but differentiating one word from another really requires you to hear the consonants. So if you start to lose your ability to detect low-level consonants, then you need to make the overall sound louder so that you can actually decipher the words. That has the effect of really increasing the volume of the vowels, which are much, much louder anyways, and you get into this situation that you've just described, where in order to clearly hear music coming out of a radio or listening to the TV, you're needing to really increase the volume of the overall signal.
I guess the one thing that comes to mind when I do think of loud, distracting noises, I don't know if you've seen it, Professor Cowan, but there's that film Anchorman, and there's a point in the film where everyone's yelling at each other, and then one of the characters in the film just goes, "Loud noises," because it seems that he's not able to differentiate between what anyone's saying anymore, and he's just so stressed and so overwhelmed by the amount of noise that's happening. And it's a very funny point in the film, but I guess it's quite exemplary of many points in our life where we are overwhelmed by noise in our lives.
Absolutely, and it isn't just people who have a hearing loss. You go to a restaurant or you go to a function, and that really taxes even a normal hearing person's auditory system, because to create brightness in the environmental ambience, many designers and developers are when they develop restaurants or they develop social areas, are making, bright, shiny, sharp edges, which are highly, highly reflective of sound. So not only do we have the sound that's being produced, but we have that really loud general hubbub, that you know what I'm talking about, that can be created when you get a lot of people in a room talking. I guess if you think about restaurants in the older days, they had, big damask curtains. They had a lot of soft wall furnishings to try and reduce the level of sound, because people actually went there to talk one-to-one. Whereas if you think about modern restaurants, they're very sharp, hard surfaces, very highly acoustically reflective, and really the noise levels are much, much higher than they have been in the past.